Before the arrests, before the statements, before the press even noticed, something moved. A conversation, a payment, a question too dangerous to be asked out loud. If we sent troops, would anyone resist? In 2025, that question had a plan behind it, and someone was already collecting the answers. At the edge of Ukraine, Transcarpathian is a place built on forgotten lines, a crossroads of empires, Austro-Hungarian, Soviet, now Ukrainian. But the borders have moved faster than the people, and memory doesn't need a flag. In the villages near Berehov, you're more likely to hear Hungarian than Ukrainian, generations raised with 2 alphabets, 2 anthems, and no certainty about who owns tomorrow. During the Soviet years, this region was militarized, hidden, then neglected. And now, in the shadow of full-scale war, it's once again strategic and vulnerable. The full-scale Russian invasion did not reach these mountains directly, but the war does not need a front line to find its way in. In May of 2025, the war came here, through silence, through questions, through the quiet architecture of espionage. What was uncovered wasn't just a spy, it was a network. Espionage isn't always cinematic. It's not always intercepted radio chatter or encrypted drives. Sometimes it starts with a phone call to a friend, a certificate for a sick father, a quiet handshake just over the border. In 2025, the SBU exposed a foreign spy network in Ukraine's westernmost region, not Russian, but Hungarian, in support of Russia. If you were planning to disappear into a place, to watch, to listen, to report, this is where you'd go. A place between places. Transcarpathia, Ukraine's westernmost oblast, borders Hungary, Slovakia, Romania, and Poland. But the line that matters isn't drawn on a map. It's in the minds of those who live there. With over 150,000 ethnic Hungarians, this region has long pulled between identities. And where identities bends, loyalty fractures. That fracture is where spies hide. During the war, the region saw little shelling, but that didn't mean it wasn't a target. The value of this place wasn't military. It was psychological, political, symbolic. In May of 2025, the SBU exposed a breach. Not a rocket, not a bomb, but a plan. Transcarpathia is a strategic borderland. Over 150,000 ethnic Hungarians live here. Hungary has handed out passports. Ukraine has passed laws limiting dual-language education in 2017, increasing tension. And Budapest's ties to Moscow remains an uncertain concern for NATO. If Hungary had territorial ambitions, this would be the place to test them. He was 40, a former soldier, no longer enlisted, not quite civilian. In 2021, the message came. Not a mission, not a command, an invitation. He accepted. Then, nothing. For years. In espionage, that's called being in standby mode, or a sleeper agent. A file in a drawer, waiting to be reopened. Then the call came again. His assignment? To study people, not attack, not sabotage, but listen and to learn. He was told to measure a reaction. What would happen if Hungarian soldiers crossed the border into Ukraine under the banner of peace? A 40-year-old ex-Ukrainian military man was recruited in 2021, put on standby mode until September of 2024. His first assignment: gather public sentiment about Hungarian troops entering Transcarpathia. The intelligence request included reactions of local civilians and armed forces, location of S-300 missile systems, availability of weapons on the black markets, size and equipment of police/military, ethnic migration statistics. This was reconnaissance wrapped in conversation, a psychological temperature check for occupation. After completing his assignment, the agent didn't vanish, but he did leave. Not in the night, not through a hidden route, but through a legal crossing, with a document, a lie, claiming he was the sole caregiver to his sick father. It worked. In Hungary, he met his curator, a confirmed operative of the Hungarian military intelligence. Not speculation, not theory. The SBU named him. Their conversation wasn't recorded, but their meeting was confirmed. Payment exchanged hands. The agent returned to Ukraine, not alone. He came with instructions and a goal. He was told to build something. A network. A ring of informants to collect new intelligence. 2 people were approached. Their names remained classified. His next mission was even more specific. Identify vehicles assigned to Ukraine's security and defense forces, monitor activity near air bases, obtain data on casualties and losses at the front, and connect with a current member of the defense forces, someone already willing to talk. He wasn't stealing secrets. He was assigning tasks. From a whisper in 2021 to a fully operational cell in 2025, the sleeper cell had woken up. This wasn't solo espionage anymore. It was network expansion, infiltration. Her name hasn't been released, but her history has. A former servicewoman, she left the armed forces in early 2025. Her reasons unknown. Her loyalty sold. The SBU identified her as a second operative in the Hungarian network. She wasn't asked to speculate. She was asked to report. And in these findings, she was asked to report helicopter activity in Transcarpathia, their air patrol schedules, and the layouts of military units where she had once served. She still had access, still had contacts, and someone on the other end was still listening. Her betrayal was surgical. She knew where to look and who to ask. In a war defined by air superiority, even a single leak can redraw the battlefield.
За результатами комплексних заходів на Закарпатті СБУ затримала 2 агентів.
They weren't caught at checkpoints. They weren't betrayed by each other. They were watched. Every step, every message, recorded, logged, and cataloged. When the SBU moved in, it wasn't a reaction. It was a finish line. Both operatives were arrested in their homes. Their phones were seized, cash was traced, and the comms were decrypted. The charge? High treason under martial law. Article 111, Part 2 of the Criminal Code of Ukraine. The penalty? Life imprisonment and confiscation of all property. SBU raided both suspects' homes. Devices seized, covert comms software found, both charged under Article 111, Part 2. They weren't spies in theory. They were spies in practice, with paperwork, paychecks, and protocols. Hungary called it absurd. Ukraine called it documented. In the days following the arrests, Hungary expelled a Ukrainian military attaché. Ukraine retaliated. 2 Hungarian diplomats removed. A diplomatic war, fueled by something far more dangerous than words. Proof. NATO remained silent, the European Union cautious. But inside the files recovered from the suspects were instructions, protocols, names, and questions that implied intent. One question in particular stood out. What would the reaction be if Hungarian forces entered Transcarpathia under a peacekeeping mission? That's not defensive. That's speculative. That's planning. Hungary expelled a Ukrainian military attaché. Ukraine expelled Hungarian diplomats in return. What Hungary denies, Ukraine documented. What was dismissed as rumor is now a matter of court record. In war, spies don't just steal secrets. They test thresholds. They watch for cracks in the foundation. And sometimes, they prepare for a future that hasn't happened yet. The SBU caught a spy network. But what they uncovered was a question. Not if, not how, but when. Because if someone is asking how civilians and soldiers would react to foreign troops entering their town, they're not just curious, they're calculating. The SBU caught them, but intelligence isn't just about what happened. It's about what was planned. The first agent asked a simple question. What would people do if Hungarian troops entered Transcarpathia? Now ask yourself, why would anyone ask? Well, that